Welcome to Lifelong Education's YouTube interview series as we journey a lighted path of life with our guests to everyday presence. I'm your hostess, Linda Wright, for Lifelong Education, a Texas and federally chartered nonprofit educational institution. Lifelong education can be likened to traveling an inner path of life. Just like a forested path has dark areas fraught with fearful dangers and also has well-lit, awe-inspiring areas, we too have the inner forest of the mind filled with darkness, ignorance, and fear, as well as the light of wisdom, inspiration, and love. We experience life's joys and pains, and at some point we seek to know what life is all about. Our seeking brings forth answers, and new paths open up. Along our path, we begin to smell the salty fragrance of the ocean, and we hear seagulls up ahead. Our forested path opens up to a beautiful sandy beach, ocean waves, and a new path. We might wonder, where does this path lead us? Lifelong education can be likened to an inner path that opens up to reveal new fragrances, sounds, and beauty, bringing the light of wisdom and clarity, oceans of love, and a desire to experience greater meaning and fulfillment. As we follow our new path along the beach, we see a lighthouse in the distance. Curious, we continue. We see signs along the way saying, "The road to peace," "Greater wisdom ahead," "Love awaits," "Keep going," "Fulfilled dreams are near." Feeling inspired, we quicken our pace. With our hearts afire and our minds aglow, we follow the path in rain and shine. We know inwardly that it's a path of inner discovery, holding promise and leading to the inner lighthouse of everyday presence. At the lighthouse, we climb the spiral staircase to the brilliant light, and we bask in its radiance. We have found the lighthouse of the heart and the mind through mindfulness and meditation. When humanity and the natural world intertwine integrally, life prospers. Lifelong education's mission aligns with that natural, integral process. Our coursework develops and expands us in integral human consciousness and states of well-being, which benefits the natural world as well. One branch of our path is stress management through mindfulness and meditation. These courses are designed to relieve stress and bring peace, calm, fulfillment, and well-being through heartfelt mindfulness practices. Calmness helps us discern better new opportunities that fit our new life. We make wiser, more loving choices that are good for us and good for others. The inner lighthouse of the heart and mind guides us to safe harbor. Mindfulness and meditation light the way. Our inner lighthouse also communicates with other officials, and the outer lighthouse communicates with other officials along the shoreline, collaborating to guide travelers to safe harbor. Likewise, lifelong education is a lighthouse that networks with other institutions and individuals dedicated to fostering ethical education for all ages and empowering people. We collaborate with our hearts and our minds, and we nurture values that address the needs of today's world, that cultivate peace, advance human consciousness, and catalyze positive societal change. Our students can learn how to do this also. After the interview, stay tuned for website information and a bird's eye view of free online 30-minute weekly mindfulness sessions and our reasonably priced, robust 9-week course in mindfulness. Our courses are described on our website. Those who subscribe to our YouTube channel can receive updates on our new podcast interviews. Along life's path, I've met some interesting travelers to interview, form friendships with, and get to know better. Today, we welcome our guest, Steven Glicker. Over decades, everyday presence, mindfulness, and meditation became a lifestyle for Steven and affected every area of his life. They explore and integrate into their lives a variety of mindfulness and meditation protocols. Steven is in a leadership role as a high-tech software engineer that includes sharing proposals to sponsors. We will be learning more about his life of living in everyday presence and the important role it has played in his career, interpersonal relationships, and his ever-growing, closer relationship with divinity, the creative source energy within. Now,
Okay.
before we dive into your discoveries of mindfulness and living in everyday presence, let's go back in time prior to any mindfulness or meditation trainings and daily practices.
hmm
When you were growing up as a child, a teenager, and a young adult, what kinds of drivers or motivators were in your life, and what helped you manage those during your early years?
Well, I had a pretty good childhood, really. And I'd say my drivers and challenges were pretty typical. Didn't have anything outstanding. I do remember a few things as a child. Once in about fifth grade, I think it was, another boy wanted to fight me. And And I didn't want to fight him, but if I was going to fight him, I wanted to do my very best, right? And so I had this roll of pennies, strangely enough, and I held it in my fist. And I made sure he saw it because my fist looked really big and kind of heavy. And he didn't like the look of that. And he said, "Well, put that down so we can have a fair fight." And I said, "Well, no, I want to win, so I'm going to hold it." And he decided that he really didn't want to fight me, and so he shook my hand, and I shook his hand with kind of a skeptical look on my face, I think, at the time. And he, you know, that was kind of it. I never really heard from him again. Certainly no aggression or anything like that. And so for me, it was about being in the moment, just being ready, hoping for the best, preparing for the worst, and and trying to be brave, I guess, was another part of it. Resourceful and brave. So um, so that's a little glimpse
Uh-huh.
into my
Okay.
childhood. Yeah.
And what about in college? Was there anything that really inspired you or motivated you or drove you onto your path
Yes.
there?
Absolutely. Yes. My college experience influenced my entire career trajectory, actually. I was in electrical engineering, but I thought, as a young person, I thought, well, it would be cool if I made a super great stereo, right? But I was in this microcomputer class, and the instructor talked about how computer chips communicate with each other, what the protocol is, and how it works. And I was electrified. I was so excited about that. I thought that was the coolest thing I had ever seen. And so I switched my major to focus on microcomputers. And that resulted in me learning about computers and software and programming and that sort of thing. And so that set the trajectory of my career. That moment, it was amazing. It was inspiring and energizing, really something.
And this was before like conscious mindfulness and meditation And what do you think you kind of intuitively were developing with these two experiences of handling the bullying,
Oh,
and
yeah.
also the excitement, the enthusiasm that you felt with the professor? What qualities do you feel you were developing inside yourself then?
Mm. I was learning, I guess in the former case, I was gaining confidence in my judgment and that things could turn out okay if I stayed present, um, and walked my path, continued to walk my path, and didn't panic. I was pretty nervous, of course. And in the second case, it was a complete surprise. And so I was going through school, taking classes, learning some things that were interesting, more interesting, perhaps other things were less interesting, right? But this, it was just, it was a gift, is what it was. So it was, it's something I haven't reflected on much lately, but it doesn't seem like an accident to me, really. It seems like, in a sense, a form of destiny, if
Yeah.
you will, Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. It's like a moment with the professor was like a moment of finding what it feels like when you're really in your heart and then your mind gets excited about it, where you're really finding home,
yeah,
you know. So,
absolutely, yeah.
yeah. Now, when did you first discover mindfulness and meditation, and what made you want to learn them?
Oh, in my late 20s, early 30s, I felt like there was something missing in my life. I wanted to be closer to the source or God, and I had been reading a lot about Buddhism and Tibetan Bon and various other related things, shamanism a bit. And I was inspired by the notion of meditation, where you make your own connection with the source. Um, and I've read stories about masters who had and what happened to them, and how they felt awakened, enlightened, happy, connected, and I was interested in that. And so I pursued that with various teachers for a few decades, actually. I didn't, however, want to go live in a monastery. And um, so I had some success by myself. And I was thinking, well, maybe to really do it properly, I'd have to go live in a monastery. And I wasn't really willing to do that. And so I backed off for a while. And later re-engage depending on whatever opportunity arise. And opportunities did arise. Um, Opportunities to learn new techniques, to learn more about what it means to cultivate that kind of connection, and that sort of thing. That would include various kinds of meditation. There are the basic ones, the sitting, laying down, standing, walking, eyes open, eyes closed, pranayama, yoga, um, those sorts of things.
Was it a combination of these that you think helped lead you into that state of everyday presence, of
Mm,
feeling that presence within? Um,
yeah.
and were there
Um,
other things that, other daily practices that you did that led you into that?
well, at different stages of my life, I did find different practices, and I ran into different teachers, different masters.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's a combination of me just being ready for what's next. Um, Most recently, I've found teachings that combine greater and broader aspects of the teachings that I've picked up over the decades. And so when that happens, and it's happened a number of times, I get pretty excited because it'll draw things together. Typically, for me, after a period of time where I feel like I've hit a plateau and I've started to let go of things, and then all of a sudden something else will happen, and I'll be able to put things together a little bit more. And and nowadays, I have to tell you, it seems like the time for big changes in the world and in us personally. And so things are coming together for me like never before. I'm learning things about how emotions relate to the chemistry in your body, your endocrine system. Um, Epigenetics talks about how you can activate and deactivate certain gene patterns. Science shows that from your environment, you can activate or deactivate certain gene patterns that can cause diseases or cause really good things to happen. Science also shows lately that you you can influence whether you're sick or whether you feel good. You can influence the chemistry of your body based on how you feel, how you choose to feel. Your body and your body are pretty objective. They don't really know the difference between reality and what you think and how you choose to live and feel. So it's kind of an exciting time in this area, I think. Yeah.
And as you're integrating all of this, there's so much material that is coming forth in today's world. As you're integrating all of this, what areas of your life have you seen improve, with that integration and the
Yeah.
practices that you're doing?
hmm The I focus now a lot on higher emotions, feeling them, accessing them, staying connected with um, with higher energies and cultivating those and understanding those. That was a missing piece for me for decades, to cultivate all the different kinds of higher emotions. And so those can be viewed as feelings of love, right? Different kinds of feelings of love. There's, for example, gratitude, gratitude just for life, gratitude for being, gratitude for things in your life. Um, there's enthusiasm for life, inspiration for life. And gosh, yeah, abundance in life and being grateful for abundance, and grateful for manifesting abundance, grateful for be feeling empowered, for being empowered, for exercising that, and grateful when you have an experience where you play a role in that or someone else does, and feeling grateful for them and supporting them. Um, and the view that people are extensions of you and you of them. We're all connected, of course. And so these sorts of things, and there are actually many more. I'm in the middle of the interview, but I mean, there are dozens and dozens of these higher emotions, wholeness and oneness, that I didn't realize that. I've done practices where I've felt in my mind deep appreciation for my heart, and in my heart deep appreciation for my mind. That's relatively new to me. Decades ago, I never thought like that. I didn't know um, the significance of going to those places and authentically and deeply feeling those emotions, and in training those kind of emotions in me so that I carry them with me or I have access to them. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't react in a negative way to a situation, but what it does mean is that I'm much more aware when I do that, and I have a much greater range of choices with regard to how I react, how I handle my reaction, what I do next. And typically I don't hang on to things anymore because they just don't feel good, negative reactions like being cut off on the road or something. It's just not worth spending more than noticing it and, letting it go because I've got much better things to do with my time now.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
I love that you're pointing out that we can cultivate these positive emotions. They can grow inside of us. And mindfulness and meditation, that's what they do. They help
Mhm, mhm.
cultivate and train it internally,
Yes.
integrate it internally. We can read all the books, we can study all of these things, but it has to be integrated internally for us to be able to respond to life in those ways. And I love that
Yeah.
you're bringing up this cultivation and this entrainment. So,
Yeah, that's the difference between being a philosopher and a practitioner. I was a philosopher back in the beginning, and now I'm much more interested in being a practitioner. It's it 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 pays off so handsomely that I can't imagine choosing any other way forward.
can you describe what your day is like in terms of how you do this cultivation? For instance,
Hmm.
in improving your life, how do you start your day? What is that like? And how do you cultivate um, this within your life throughout the day
Hmm. Hmm.
using
Um,
a mindfulness technique or a meditation technique?
hmm. Hmm.
Just some examples of that.
Well, in the morning, I feel where I'm at, and I try to stay conscious. And I'll mention some of the things I don't do. I don't mindlessly get up, go to the bathroom, take a shower, eat the same food, that kind of thing. I tend to be more present, and I think of what do I need? What do I need to do for the day? What do I need to do for myself, for my energy? A lot of times I'll meditate in the morning. Um, Sometimes if I wake up at night, I'll check in with myself and see what I should do. Should I do a meditation? Should I not? What kind of meditation? How long? The lengths I do tend to be in increments of 15 minutes, half an hour, hour and a half. And I like to mix those up depending on um, how I'm feeling. So I tend to use an intentional practice. However, the mornings are a good time for me to do that kind of thing, undisturbed and in a usually a pretty peaceful place. Um, then I'll depending on what day it is, I'll get up and do my day and connect with my wife, Terry, and sometimes we'll do a meditation together. Um, uh, Sometimes we'll do a sitting meditation. Sometimes we'll go outside and do a walking meditation, and our lives are more stress-free, which makes it a lot easier to stay in this space for us, given where we're at it. That's our preference. Sometimes we'll even do a meditation in the bath together. That's kind of fun. Um, and sometimes at night. Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
those are some of the basic elements, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting how as we get into mindfulness and meditation,
Mhm.
things happen in our life that become in harmony with who we've become, such as now
Yeah,
you're living at a place because you've been practicing this for quite a long time. You're living in a place that shows up as that, a place that is less stressful, less challenging to live there. So it's
exactly. Yeah.
interesting how that happens with people. Now, on the other side of the coin, how do you handle, say, challenges that come up in life? Unexpected things sometimes come our way, and
Absolutely.
how does
Absolutely.
mindfulness and meditation, the practices of that, help you handle things in the moment?
Yes, yes. One of the things that we like to talk about is the belief that things don't happen to you, they happen for you,
Mhm.
right? And so when something happens, you maybe look at it and see, why did it happen for you? So, for example, something really unusual happened last week. We were visiting family on the West Coast, and near the end of our trip, we were driving north in Washington State on Highway 101, and it was a 60-mile-an-hour highway, but we stopped because the car in front of us was making a left turn. And then I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw a car approaching us at a really high speed. And I said something like to Terry, "Oh no," because it seemed like they were going to hit us. And she immediately kind of comprehended what the situation was. And that car hit us at high speed. We were in a rental car, and the rental car was totaled. Our luggage was smushed. It was in the trunk, and our car spun around. And, we kind of stopped for a moment and waited, and then we both kind of came to consciousness. I was very happy because I felt my body and I felt fine. And I was like, thank you. And then I said to Terry, she looked at me and I said, well, how is this happening for us and not to us? And that sparked a little contemplation. Um, and I can tell you that the police came. I got out of the car. I was trying to extract our luggage from it. The car was all kinds of loose and in pieces, so I was able to locate pieces of luggage and throw it on the side of the road. The EMS people had just happened to be driving by, and they saw, so they pulled over and started to. There were four cars involved, so they saw me and they said, "Okay, you're bleeding. We would take you, but we need to check everybody else out to see if anybody else is in worse shape." And so they were doing their thing, and the we have everybody was okay. Everybody got out of their car. All four cars were totaled and towed away. I ended up going to the hospital. The Washington Highway Patrol officer came and talked to Terry and I, and said that there was this elderly man that just lost. He wasn't paying attention and just hit the other three cars at pretty high speed. And he was modeling a behavior for us. It was pretty obvious. He was saying with sympathy that this was just a poor older gentleman that just wasn't paying attention and hit the other cars. And to us, we're used to modeling behavior like that, right? So I knew exactly what he was trying to convey. The energy was nice, and um, it was easy to accept that was an unfortunate thing that happened for us, and and because we were able to kind of naturally react that way, it was easy, and it was interesting to observe that in yourself too. And in the following days, we were both really sore at night. We'd have like trouble rolling over because our bodies were kind of sore. And sometimes pains would emerge, but with the pain, I was able to, for me, um, just see the pain, acknowledge the pain, be with the pain, and connect with higher energies, and bring my energy up. So I didn't have to take aspirin or anything. A couple of days ago, it was my neck, and I would just kind of tune in. This morning, it was my pelvis at the base of my spine was sore. And I had this moment. For me, it was very interesting. It was like I had this feeling on the inside that said, well, I was just starting my work day, and it said, you should probably take the day off. I don't feel good. And I was accepting it, saying, okay, I feel this, it's uncomfortable. Um, and I, adjusted myself, tried to get comfortable. I was just with it, and tried to connect with the higher energies and do my normal thing. And it was gone pretty soon. And the old me would probably maybe think, oh my gosh, I'm sick. I have to take the day off, and then go uh, embrace all these behaviors of a sick person. Well, I didn't really do that. I wasn't the evidence really wasn't there. For me, it was just these pains coming and going. And so I didn't go down that path. And it's pretty cool, really.
Oh,
It's nice to be able to do that sort of thing without aspirin, without anything. It's just about patience and observation and uh, being able to choose what energy and where it is, I want to go. So that's one thing. Another thing at work, sometimes something will happen and I'll be, a little disappointed or frustrated, or part of me will feel kind of insulted or whatever. It can be the variety of things that we all tend to feel, right? And but that tends not to feel good. So I'm not particularly interested in walking in that direction. And that I can uh, confess is a great relief. It's really nice not to live that way. It's wonderful. And another aspect, I work with really smart people, very creative people, and um, and sometimes we'll be working on a problem, or I will get assigned some kind of a problem. And I will be quiet and open for solutions and contemplate things, or listen to other people, or dialogue with other people, and try to be open to contribute whatever wants to come through. And all the best ideas just kind of appear and come through me, quite honestly. Um, and that's really cool. And a good idea might be a key part of a solution, or it might be a question to ask someone that prompts somebody to think in a certain way and make a contribution that they might not have otherwise made. Um, it's uh, it's a great way to be. It's a fun way to live, and and I don't have to worry about you know being good or smart or anything. I just be me, and or let go and let my higher me be there, and it happens, and it's a blessing. It's really great. So
it seems like what you're describing is all of these processes that you've been doing. It's just they have formed a really strong foundation for you so that when
mhm.
things do come up, you're able to respond in a very positive manner because you've prepared yourself. You've laid the foundation, you've prepared
Mm,
yourself, and you've built a structure within yourself that can handle these things smoothly. And this is something that others can do too. Um,
absolutely.
Now, what is your current career life like in the field of microprocessing design and software engineering? Can you give us just a little bit of a glimpse at what that's like? Are you working from home? Are you?
Mhm. Yes, I am working from home. I have flexible hours, which is super nice, which means I can take long lunches. More often than not, Terry and I will go out for a coffee at lunchtime, and then I'll come home and do the second half of my day. I have meetings online. I do a lot of writing these days. I'll do write proposals or analyze a problem, come up with questions or suggestions. I review other people's work fairly frequently. Um, I'll brainstorm with people, that kind of thing. And there are really nice things about it. It's Working from home is awesome because I've got my kitchen, my bedroom, my bathroom are all right there, which is pretty handy. I can relax, I can walk outside. So I've got that. I'm in a job that pays very well. Um, and I work with a lot of really smart people, which is fun. I like that. I uh, I really appreciate the people I work with and respect them for their smartness and enjoy collaborating with them. So there are a lot of aspects to this work that I do like. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of an ideal job in a way.
Now, with stresses that come up with the job,
Mhm.
is there a mindfulness and meditation, a special one that really help you in coping with those stresses and related that relate to your career?
Oh, I see. Yeah. Um, it's largely about regulating my energy, but uh, there are there are certain things that I'll cycle through. So, for example, sometimes I'll work on harmonizing my energy centers, um, which are really important. You know, they relate to your endocrine system, which has a lot of control over the chemistry of your emotions, if you want to look at it that way. That's an accurate scientific way nowadays to kind of view it. So that's one aspect that I can focus on. I usually do that if I need to build up my energy and open my centers so that I'm more connected with my heart and my mind, and I can cultivate coherence between my heart and my mind, and um, the other centers as well. So that's one thing. There are other ones I do for inspiration for life. Um, Sometimes for gratitude. Gratitude's kind of the safe, warm, fuzzy one that I can always go to. It's easy and engaging. Sometimes I will focus on one called generous present moment, which is cultivating the ability to let go of the senses, let go of the sense of you, of the sense of anything in your life, objects or places or time or people. You can just go out beyond all of that. And that can be very relaxing and strengthening. And that's a key energy for me to entrain with. I can go out beyond that. Some people call it going through the eye of the needle, right? Because you kind of let your identity go and you go out into this open place where you have, I think for a lot of us, you can more easily entrain or harmonize or connect with wholeness and oneness and those kinds of higher energies. So that's that's really great. I should do that more than I do. but but it's wonderful to have the toolkit to do those kinds of things. Also, something that we do occasionally is we'll go to a meditation retreat where we can meditate with a lot of other people, hundreds or thousands of people. And that kind of lifts you up to a whole new level and helps you to entrain with that energy more deeply, which is well, it's super fun because it ends up usually, well, actually always being kind of a love fest where you fall in love with yourself and everybody else falls in love with everybody else, and the energy can be just amazing, just really
Oh,
wonderful.
oh, that sounds wonderful. In terms of your family life and your relationship with Terry, what are your practices, say, in mindfulness and meditation in those realms? And what really helps you in like your interpersonal relationships in terms of
Mhm.
family?
Well, Terry and I, for example, are very close. We're, I think, I suppose, best friends, and we experience the world from a similar perspective, and we have the same values um, and priorities, and we understand each other in a very deep way. I mean, we were born on the same day of the year, but I was born in the morning, she was born at night, so we joke that we're night and day because we do have differences, but really overall we have super strong similarities. And so that's a blessing. And um, we're really key partners, and we support each other very deeply, and we have a lot of mutual respect, and I can't really say enough about how wonderful that relationship is. That's another huge blessing um, that I've got.
Uh-huh.
And with other family members, various family members have various perspectives and practices and beliefs. So we connect and support them in the best way we know how. And I think our relationships with various family members, are pretty good. Recently, for some family members, they've been deepening, just because
Uh-huh.
because it's time for that, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So that's good. We don't have real challenging family members. I mean, we know what politics to avoid with certain family members and things like that, but that's really not a very significant issue for us. It's pretty easy to navigate those waters. So, um, yeah, that's kind of what comes to mind right now for that.
Yeah. And do you have other insights about mindfulness and meditation that you want to share with our audience?
Oh, I see. Um, I think that when someone first starts it, you put in a lot of effort and you see just a little bit of gain out. But over time, that shifts so that you don't have to put in as much effort to see some gain. And later on, you can put in a little bit of effort and sometimes see a bunch of gain, but it varies. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect of reality, I think, that relates to this is that when you're in the present moment, you're in the unknown. And so it's really important to get to know the unknown, to be comfortable with it, to understand it and trust it, um, meaning being in the moment. Because when you stop focusing so much on your past and your future, you want to pay attention to those, but those are more like lessons learned. And the moment is where the power is, right? And so, getting comfortable with the unknown and starting to trust yourself more deeply and be forgiving of yourself, those are all really key things, I think. Another thing I think is that this point in time in the history of our civilization is there's something special about it. And now's the time to make an effort. And it seems like it's easier now than it ever was before. And a lot of people are kind of tuning in and coming on board with this sort of thing. And it's a special period of time. And some people like to say that there are so many people on the planet right now because this is such a special time. And everybody wants to experience it because it's the greatest thing. So, so that's something you might consider as well.
Yeah. And what inspires you to continue with mindfulness and meditation?
Oh, the funny thing is I kind of can't imagine not doing it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it 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 allows me to walk on the path that I enjoy walking on much more. I mean, I can't imagine not doing it and feeling the way I used to feel and kind of being my old self with those attitudes and habits and patterns and being caught in the past or the future or trying to be something that I'm really not. So um it's it's like a choiceless selection of the way forward. I don't really have to think about it.
Choiceless choice there.
It's choiceless, yeah.
Now, on a normal day that has some stressors, what is your go-to, your most favorite thing to do with mindfulness or meditation?
hmm
Uh,
hmm Well, in terms of being confronted with a stressor, usually it will involve a reaction from me. and I can feel that reaction, and I can typically feel that, you know, I don't want to go there. Not very interested. Also, being calm and being present allows me to consider more options than I might have been able to if I had gotten really upset about something. There are times when I do kind of get upset, and it takes me a moment to go beyond that and get past it. That's pretty rare for me, but it can happen, and it probably will happen. And so being patient with that, being with it, and staying in the moment, looking at my options and deciding, what I really want to do, if anything, in a given situation, I think is the thing
Yeah.
that tends to be fairly choiceless in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, making that decision and looking at all the good options there are, and picking one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. In times of like great difficulty, such as some kind of traumatic thing, what meditation or related activity helps you navigate through that?
If I don't feel very connected um, with higher energies, I will I'll look for an opportunity to do some really long meditations, maybe as long as a few hours, to go really deep. And going deep with Terry can be beneficial. With two of us, sometimes that's extra special. Or even going on one of these retreats, excuse me, can really kind of boost that connection. And so the longer, deeper meditations for me can be helpful to regain that sort of thing if needed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you found a really healthy support system there in your life that
Yeah,
just goes along
absolutely.
with everything that you've been developing internally.
Mhm,
Now, to
mhm.
sum it up, what would you say to our audience?
I would say that you probably have more choices and more freedom than you realize. And freedom and choices doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have responsibilities, because obviously most of us do have responsibilities. But there are options for choices and freedom, and to be happy and to pursue happiness and freedom, and being open to that, to finding that, setting your intention to finding it might be helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, setting that intention, it's really important. And it oftentimes that's what leads us into mindfulness and meditation is we've had this inner thing in our heart that just really wants to know and really wants to improve our life. And so those kinds of activities oftentimes pop up right then at sometimes unexpected ways.
That's right. And that reminds me of one quick thing. There's this thing we say that the overcoming yourself is the becoming of something, of you, of a new you, of a
Mm.
more happy you. And so overcoming yourself simply means wading through a challenge, wading through the river of change, some people might say. And so I can remember, for example, doing some meditations where I'll go into my heart and go there, and at moments it was like an empty shell. It was like empty and nothing was there. And of course, I knew that that wasn't the greater truth, but I also knew that that was happening for a reason. And so I would go back again and again to my heart and cultivate that energy, or just be there with it to support it and be patient with it. And over time, it would come out more and more. It was sort of a practice. I was sort of learning um, how to work with my heart energy in that sense, with a I suppose, a goal of feeling deeper, higher emotions as well as coherence, heart-brain coherence, which is another really important aspect of this. So I think there are maybe challenges, but those challenges are what really help you advance.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, being good with your challenges and patient and knowing that if you have a challenging meditation, that is what you need to do so that in the future you have meditations that are absolutely worth it, worth all the work. Mhm.
Well, thank you, Stephen. We really appreciate you sharing how you've learned to connect so deeply with your heart, and you've learned to control your mind and work with your mind in a very positive way.
Mhm.
Making that heart-mind connection. And I really appreciate how you've gone and given us so much detail in terms of your own life and your own
Mm.
path.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking me for the interview. Yeah, this was fun.
Okay, thank you. Now, what we're going to be doing now is with our audience is I'm going to be sharing some free mindfulness meditations that we're going to be offering that will be on a weekly basis. So we want to thank you, Stephen, and then I'm going to
Thank
move
you.
into sharing with our audience for other things that lifelong education has to offer that can help them. In today's interview, we heard from Stephen, who traveled a journey that began as a child and led to living a fulfilling family life and career as a high-tech software engineer in a leadership position, sharing creations with sponsors. His integral human development path developed into a lifestyle of realizing a growing awareness of divinity within and his capacity to experience profound love and appreciation. His path included everyday presence and a wealth of mindfulness and meditation trainings that led to personal self-discovery experiences, professional growth and development, and a fulfilling life with his partner. Life became more than just surviving this life. It developed into thriving, both inwardly and outwardly, with everyday presence. And the point is, so can you do that. In this interview today, we hope that you found hope and inspiration to meet whatever challenges that you have in life, and as well as simply being able to enjoy your life's journey. Lifelong education also offers other courses taught by trained professionals. Join us and experience everyday presence with Simply Sit. These are free, weekly guided mindfulness practices on Zoom beginning Thursday, September 27th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Each practice is guided by a trained professional. You can sign up for sessions on our website at lifelong-ed.org. Now, the Stress Management Systems also offers a course where you can dive deeper. In January 2026, Lifelong Education is offering a robust, affordable 9-week mindfulness course, which includes an introduction and 8 lessons. Each lesson is taught by trained professionals, and they include information and mindfulness technique sessions, interactive sharing and question and answer opportunities, and audio guides for your at-home practice. See our website for more details at lifelong-ed.org. By subscribing, you will be able to receive notifications of new Everyday Presence podcast interviews. And also by subscribing at Simply Sit, you'll receive notices on the launch of our free weekly guided mindfulness practices beginning September 27th with Simply Sit. Our website information is lifelong-ed.org, and you can visit this website for podcast and course information, articles that are related to this type of information that we shared today, as well as other coursework that we have available, other branches of lifelong education, updates, and enrollment. Refer to the caption box area below the video and the video title for our website and our address and other pertinent websites or information. So join me in our next interview with a new guest who has journeyed and expanded their awareness of everyday presence. So for now, I'd like to say adios, and may you experience greater well-being in your life and more of life's blessings through everyday presence.